Hello guys and welcome to this video. This is going to be my first look at a pair of pi ratio watches that I found on Creation Watch's website in their Black Friday sale this week, or this weekly sale, whatever they call it. And I had no idea about these watches less than a few days ago, and as I was ordering some other stuff off Creation Watches, which I get some of my Seiko base watches from. I do modify watches, of course, and this brand I've never heard of, but these watches sounded interesting and they were quite good prices. I think around $160, and actually they were further discounted as well for this sale. So I decided to do two videos here. I'm gonna unbox them for the first time. I've literally never opened them before, so you're going to see my reaction to what they're like as standard watches, and I'll give you a short review now. And then in a week or so I'm going to create another video where I modify these, or at least I try to modify these as well, because as a package they sound very interesting. So let's get into it. We get, I'm not going to go through everything because I doubt it is that exciting, but we get some warranty or information books here, perhaps instruction manuals, but let's dive in straight away. So first of all, reasonable quality box, a little cheap feeling, but at least it's better than a typical Seiko box that we see all the time, those basic white ones. So this, oh, two straps as well. I forgot they include an actual Seiko dive strap. Now, I'm sure they've got loads of these hanging around because no one likes them, but fair enough, you get a real Seiko strap. And inside, plastic bag, we've got a pretty big watch cushion here. Little tag, oh, that's fallen off. That just says pi ratio. I really don't understand how to pronounce this. I assume it's just pi ratio, or I'm going to call them ratio watches for now. And here is the watch. So let's have a good look at this. Nice big cushion. We'll put that to the side. Now already I can see that extreme blue AR crystal they've got going on, which is actually quite cool. So the reason I got this was because the specs of this watch intrigued me for the price. This is basically a clone of an SKX, but an upgraded version. Now Heimdall do something similar. The eBay Sharky that I bought right at the beginning of this channel, that was something similar. The Island watch, you could argue, is something similar as well, although they're a little more high-end and a bit more respected perhaps. But I'm really curious about what this is. So let's get all of these stickers off. In fact, I'll pause the video, just unsticker this thing and have a good look around it. All right, guys, I've got the stickers off, and just feeling the watch, it does feel heavy. There was another review I watched before I got them that mentioned how heavy they feel. But I'm quite used to heavy watches because when you add in a sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel, they are chunky watches generally, but yeah, it definitely feels quite heavy, and I think I know why that might be as well. The bracelet feels good, which I'm quite surprised about for the price point. Let's not forget, I paid around $135 for this watch, and there is quite a lot of good points about it, and which is what I was excited about. The first thing being that this is an SKX style case. It's not exactly the same. I can see the lugs are a little different. It's actually quite a nice shape though. I do actually almost, I'm gonna, dare I say, prefer this case to the SKX style. Definitely seems a bit narrower here. The bezel is somewhat Seiko style, but not quite the same, but nothing really wrong with the design of it. The action is a bit gritty. It's not the worst I've ever felt, but it's not far off, especially when you're trying to find 12 there. The crystal is a domed, I believe it looks as though it's double domed. It's a very slight dome though. I don't know if I can show it there clearly with my finger behind it, but it's It's a very slight dome. It's not like the double dome crystals you get from the mod parts shops like Namoki, DLW, and so on. And it does have a ceramic bezel insert. So we've got sapphire crystal, ceramic bezel insert, an H36 movement inside. We've also got a solid end link bracelet with screws. Oh, are they screws? No, they're not. Apologies, I thought they might be screws. There are some screws, I believe, in the top. No, I'm wrong as well. So no screws in the bracelet, that's a shame. The other annoying thing with the bracelet, which I hadn't realized, is that it's not tapered. So it looks okay on a smaller wrist, but on a bigger wrist, not so much. So yeah, it's a shame to see that not tapered, non-tapered bracelet. Clasp is milled, or at least part of it, the inside part. And it's got a signed clasp, which is rather annoying. I'll tell you why later. The crown, fortunately, is not signed like the Sharkies were. So that saves the job of anonymizing it if you like to do that. And yeah, but the overall feel of it, like one way to tell a pretty poor quality bracelet is the edges. These are just the right level of kind of sharpness and definition. If they're very sharp on the edges, it's straight away, it's a poor quality bracelet. So I can tell the stuff is quite good quality, and I'm quite liking the case shape as well. It's sort of a more modern kind of angled style of an SKX case, but it is definitely inspired by it. So the operation we can check, but I know this movement through and through. This is the NH36. It's probably the SI, of course, variant, it's not going to say Seiko on it, but that doesn't really matter. So yeah, let's see if the hands line up actually. I'd say not really. Let's try 6 o'clock. I'm always curious about these kind of brands because I feel like, you know, they're not the best quality. Yeah, they're definitely not straight. It's about 5 minutes early, the hour hand there. Date is in kanji and English. Day, of course, sorry, date. All that works, wines. So quite happy with that. I mean, if anything, it's worth getting this watch just for a few parts, which I found with the original Sharky that I sort of started modding with, the eBay Sharky, I should say. So overall impressions, pretty good. It is a 42 size. I believe it's around 46 lug to lug. The bracelet makes it wear a bit bigger. Here it is on my 7 3/4 inch wrist. I'll do you a Lume shot on this video as well. I always forget to do those. Wears exactly the same, I think, as a standard unmodified SKX. I don't think it's any smaller in any way. So yeah, it's not bad. For $130, if you're after a watch like this, go to Creation Watches and use that discount. Now, speaking of discounts, if you're watching this around Black Friday, I actually have a special discount code for Namoki mods. So that's a shop I'll be going to try and get some mod parts for this and see what interesting watch I can make out of this relatively cheap offering. So have a look in the video description because you'll find a link to my Namoki mods store page, and you'll also find those discount codes up to 25% off parts for Seiko mods. So do check those out. I thought I'd throw that in there before I forget, and I know a lot of other modders watch these videos. So what do I think of it really? I think it's quite good. I do think the dial, we haven't talked about the dial yet. Let's zoom in on that dial. Now, this is one thing I don't particularly like about these kind of spin-off brands that do just basically clone SKXs, is that personally, I'd rather it just be sterile rather than have a nothing sort of brand on there. The pi ratio, I don't understand why that's the brand name. The FreeDiver, fair enough, makes sense. It's a dive style watch. It is 200 meters water resistant, which is nice to see that they have actually got that rating on there. No indication of where it's made, but I think we've all got a good idea for this kind of price point. The hands are SKX style, but definitely not the same sort of quality and shape. You can tell that by the back of the minute hand. Usually an SKX one sticks out a bit more than that. And the Lume is very green, kind of in daylight here. Right, going on to the back, let me peel this sticker off so we can see this case back. This was the other thing I was a bit curious about. So what does it actually say on it? So stainless steel, 200 meters, sapphire crystal, and there's a picture of a diver. That's quite nice, or a FreeDiver, I should say. That's quite nice. I like that they haven't put their branding on there, because really what I want to do is take that dial and hands out. I might keep the hands, but I might not use it in this watch. Keep everything else, but just simply remove all of the ratio branding and see what kind of watch I could build from this. So I'm thinking of putting an Arabic dial in there, maybe one of my classic sort of styles, and perhaps change this clasp. Now I thought I could change it to a nice V clasp from Strapcode or something like that, but I'm gonna have to probably, because this is a pretty deep engrave, I'm not gonna be able to get rid of that. I will be switching that maybe for an original Seiko clasp. I've probably got some lying around in this larger size. Even though it's not going to be milled, I think it's going to look nicer as an original Seiko part. I'm also curious what crowns this takes. I'm not going to be changing the crown, but it is a screw down crown, I should have said that, and be curious to know how that fits. So there you have it, guys. That is the black dial. Can't remember the exact reference, but you'll find it on Creation Watch's site. After discount, I think it was something like 130. It is heavy. So the previous review I was watching, I think the non-tapered bracelet kind of, it adds to that, but the watch head definitely feels quite heavy. So I'm not sure why that is really, because similar watches that I've had and don't really feel that heavy. Poor bezel action. Let's see if we can already see. Yep, it lifts up a bit, so I'm expecting it to be the SKX style, which means I can probably switch this for an original Seiko bezel and it will sound way better. So that's one of the things I'll definitely be trying, and please subscribe to this channel so you can see what these watches actually turn into. Now, I did mention watches, so let's have a look at the other one. That one, and I didn't plan this, I didn't know which was in which box, but this one is actually perhaps a bit more interesting. So again, crappy bracelet, crappy rubber strap, but we'll forget about that. So this is the blue dial NH35 with the Cyclops crystal. Let me get the plastic off this and we'll have a good look at this one as well. Right, so the stickers are off, and it feels just about the same as the black one. Now, strangely, the black one feels heavier when I pick them both up like this. I'm not sure why that is. It can't just be the crystal, but perhaps maybe it is. But the obvious difference is this is the blue dial. It's the date only, which means it has the NH36. I could put them next to each other here. And the size, I believe, is the same. This one seems to look a little bit smaller. Let me just check that actually, because I'm curious now. Let's just check the size of these two. So trusty calipers, let's go 3. I'll try and put it as close to 3 o'clock across the case. I'll go a bit further around. So yeah, 42.5. And I'm sure this must be the same, but perhaps it just looks odd. That's also the same, yeah, 42 point something. So they are the same size case. I would imagine the exact same bracelet. I have noticed since opening it, this first lug is really quite long, so I'm not sure if this will accept other Seiko bracelets. So I'm going to have a look at that a bit later. But apologies in the meantime, I think the reason this one looks smaller is because of that crystal. It's got the bevel edge, quite a thin bezel insert, and it's got the Cyclops, of course, which is a very different sort of look, and it definitely works. So, you know, it makes that number one massive, to the point where you think, well, perhaps that's why Seiko don't really do this, because their date windows are actually quite big anyway. But yes, I've always been curious about a Cyclops crystal mod, so I will be trying a different dial, of course, in this. Having said that though, the dial does look quite nice. It's got this quite extreme blue AR crystal. I like the color, this dark blue color bezel. And again, shame about the action, but I can probably fix that just by switching the bezel over. And I will try that shortly. Quite slimline case at this side. They've definitely done a different case design a little bit to perhaps try and reduce the thickness, and the case back is quite slim too. Same case back, everything else is the same. Out of these two, I kind of prefer the look of the, well, actually I like them both. I'm not completely sold on the Cyclops, but I'm thinking maybe with a different style it might go. The bracelets I'm quite happy with, actually. Same about the clasp, that it wasn't just plain, but I will try and fit a Seiko clasp on there instead. It's not especially nice quality anyway, so I may as well put the original Seiko one. On the wrist, it looks quite cool. From an angle, you'll see the Cyclops a bit, but it's not so obvious as it might be on a Rolex. Of course, this is nowhere near the price of that watch, but you know, in some respects, you know, we've got a ceramic bezel, solid end licks, we've got a hacking and hand winding movement. I'm sure the Lume is pretty good, and for the Lume test, I will actually charge both of these up, and we'll compare them to an actual Seiko and see the difference. So holding them in the lit room here, it's quite surprising actually. The original Seiko Lume is doing well, but this one really glows green. Really quite bright lime green if it's coming across on the camera. This one's a bit more muted. Both of them are perfectly adequate, of course, but I'm really surprised that they did go to town on the Lume on these dials and handsets as well. So everything matches, even the pip is glowing pretty bright there. The Seiko 5 Sport I've got does not have the pip included. So what do I think then overall? These two watches, now I'm sure I couldn't actually hold this one at the same light at the same amount of time, but what do I actually think of these watches then? Are they worth buying just as they are? Well, to be honest, yes. If you like a simpler dive watch that you can maybe beat around and it's $135 or so, absolutely, totally worth it. They are decent. They're quite well made. They feel good. They feel much better than the eBay watches I've seen for around the same price, to be honest. And you're always going to want to change things about them. Now that's going to be the focus of my next video, so please hit subscribe and follow me as I try and modify these and make them even better. And these are going to be some budget-friendly mods, which of course I'll be passing on my page at Seikomodsdubai. And I'm always on the lookout for more price-conscious mod options, because these days, especially with the movements going up in price recently, it does, buying a modded Seiko is not a cheap watch actually, and a lot of people love them. Not everyone can afford the higher price models, and getting packages of parts essentially like these might be a good way to do it. So I'm excited to try it. Stay tuned for more updates. Thanks very much for watching this. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you want a link to these, it's in the description, and don't forget my discount on Namoki Mods parts starting 26th of November. I think it's for one day only. Get them while you can. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next time.